Hey, it's Jason Lynette, and I'm here with Patrick Braley, and we're talking hypnotic business systems. Patrick, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Excellent. And for those that don't yet know you, could you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you said, my name is Patrick. I'm 23, about to be 24. I'm a certified professional hypnotist, and I specialize in working with folks in the LGBT community, specifically around stress and gaining confidence.
Yeah. And I know you've been in business systems for quite some time, and we're going to connect
Mhm.
and chat about some of the things you've picked up from that, which I think that's the perfect transition because you kind of highlighted the ability to niche down and pick a specific market. Can you share some of the thoughts you
Absolutely.
found from the program on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, niching was sort of a new concept for me. As I was thinking about this interview yesterday, I kind of thought back to my previous experience. So, I have a bachelor's in psychology. And then when I was in school, I was like, oh, well, I'll take marketing. And the sad truth is that most marketing programs do not actually teach you what you need to build a thriving, successful business, at least in my experience, in my opinion. Again,
Mhm.
it was just a minor. But going back to your original point, or what you're asking me to answer, is that your program taught me, the ins and outs really of niching. So I knew what the word niche meant. That's what I kind of learned in school. I had maybe a better understanding of the vocabulary, but it really taught me how to, find that ideal client and like how to go where they are, how to
Yeah.
seek out those target markets and really make myself that go-to expert.
That is one of those bigger takeaways that I hear from people that as soon as we
Mhm.
narrow down, this is who I want to work with, this is the category that I'm the most excited to help out. It's where so often that marketing plan kind of writes itself to go, here's how I become a resource for that community. Here's how I appropriately position myself and open up that conversation. Where exactly what you said, we're not then the person who's just trying to sell them something. We're offering ourselves out as that resource where then it becomes that natural progression to go, let's work on this together, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So then looking at sort of building up from there and building that focus, what is that translated? What's that become for you as you've been building that out?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, to calibrate it kind of even further, so I had to think about, what did I want to work with these folks in the LGBT community specifically with. And so the two things that sprung to mind were stress, which I think can be applied to lots of folks. But
Mhm.
as LGBTQ folks and someone that's a part of that community, we have certain challenges and certain ways that presents in that community. So really targeting down those specifics of, okay, well, what kind of stress is it, or stress around what, whether it's coming out or self-acceptance, things like that. And then also confidence, because that was something, if I think back to my own story, that I didn't really have when I was first, you know, coming out and coming into my own. So I really want to be able to instill that in other folks. And as you said, kind of having the systems in place to have that all important piece to be able to position myself as that expert is really, really critical, because as I believe it's you that says this, or maybe it was Dan Candell, you can be the best damn hypnotist in the world, but if no one knows about you, you're not going to help anyone.
Yeah.
So,
Well, what you're bringing up there, I love to hear stories like that because, sometimes you'll hear in other communities that, well, here's what's going on in the world, business is down, here's this, and we
mm,
can tap into a market that other people didn't yet know there was a specific need for. And when you go deeper
right,
into a specific area, you suddenly realize there's more nuances and more specific needs. And as you've said, to become that go-to resource for that, again, we're not even, this is where so many hypnotists are sort of anti-sales, anti-marketing, to realize that
right.
no, we're sharing an experience, we're opening up a conversation and making it easier for them to come in. There was something we connected with a while ago, though, which I wanted to highlight, which,
Mm-hmm.
there's people who jump in and they go, oh, cool, here's the Facebook marketing stuff. Here's the, webinar strategy. Here's the way to sell on the phone, which I want to come back to that. But
Mm-hmm.
you had like a comment around like this one tiny text document in the document library, which I
Yes.
think you said it just completely uncluttered your email box. Can you
Oh
chat about
yeah,
that?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So the bit of text that you're referring to is I believe it's the email to phone strategy, and it's
Yeah.
about like one sentence, maybe two, and it's you said you can use it as a copy paste resource, which is at the very bottom if you look at my email signature. It's at the very bottom, and it says, please, to schedule a free strategy session with me, please call me directly. And then it has my business line, rather than opening it up to, oh, well, just, simply reply to this email. And, suddenly we're playing schedule tag, or they're, venting about things, a conversation that could be much more easily had on the phone. And so I thought that that was just genius. Again, making that one little tweak, that one little change. And that's me setting the expectation of, no, if you want to reach me, you can call me directly. Mm-hmm. And now, obviously, being a little further in business systems, I have some of the systems in place where I'm not necessarily playing phone tag or schedule tag. They're picking a specific time to speak with me. And then that's how we connect.
I have to go visual aid on this because for some of the new stuff we're adding in, I had to buy a funnel. Because
yeah, of course.
Why not?
Right.
No, but it highlights exactly what you're just saying, that many people think of it being this shape, that people are going down, and then here's the final step. We need to flip it upside down, because from this mindset, they're now ascending to the next level. And really, this one nuance, which I have to call it out, this is why it's important to learn hypnotic business strategies from someone who's actively doing the work in our industry, and not just telling you the stories of what they did 10, 20 years ago. Right. Because you'll have those moments, and a lot of you may have had this, as Patrick is mentioning here. You get that email, and if you respond by email, it just kind of stays an email. And again, back to this, you want to have them ascend to that next level where they're now moving to an actual conversation. That the sort of side note of that module is that willingness to pick up the phone is directly proportionate to willingness to change. And we can see that passive strategy, stepping back, and how, yes, we can talk number of clients and income, but here's this massive time savings of going, well, here's the next step. When you're ready to do this, there you go.
And I also think that it elevates my professionalism and my kind of their perception of me, at least if I were to put myself in my client's shoes, of, wow, this guy is A, not only efficient, but B, how professional is he that I get to schedule this specific time, and then they have to answer some onboarding questions. It saves a lot of the time. It saves a lot of the headache. And I think that it only serves to elevate my stance as, again, that go-to expert. And it's such a simple change that it's kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah. Which is a surprise to many people in our industry, that by actually running the business better, by selling better, we can actually produce a stronger result, not just because of like what I talk about, onboarding and building that expectation in advance of the session, but just letting it be that professional environment, as opposed to, yeah, I'll call you back tonight. What time? Whenever. As opposed to, here's the specifics, where we're really building that formula. And I know you mentioned something around how we can talk about building that niche. We can talk about streamlining the business, and, what good are the skills unless there's the body in the chair? But then there's that time where they're actually now engaging in that conversation. And I know you highlighted the phone process as a feature for you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So the $500,000 phone process, first of all, love the name, because it just, screams income and abundance, which is awesome. So every time I see just the name, I smile. And yeah, again, it's one of those things where with the phone process, it's so streamlined. And as you always say, selling, or not selling, leading to the next step, right? Having it be sort of a very logical, laid out conversation of not only getting at, what their issue is, what they want to work with, but also being able to kind of dismantle those myths and misconceptions around hypnosis, which is something that whenever I get from anyone, oh, you're a hypnotist, you're this and that, and I kind of, will explain if they seem, interested enough. I always kind of say, it's my responsibility as a hypnotist to make sure that you understand the process, that you know exactly what it is and what it isn't, and that you're comfortable working with me. If I don't have those three things, then I haven't done my job as someone in this profession. So having the phone script to kind of aid to that, and having the exact kind of nuances in the language to be able to not only toward the end, like close the client and finish up that process, but to have all the information that I need and have them feel good about it, and start to kind of lead them along, start them down that path right from that initial get-go conversation is just amazing.
Well, thank you for that, which, I can reveal right now. There's one secret psychological strategy inside of that, where people go, well, what's the hypnotic language patterns you're using to sell more? At the end of the call, I use the word now as if like the sound looking for my next word. So now, how soon would you like to get started? And that's the only sneaky thing that's inside of there.
Yeah,
But really, this phone process is one that I've workshopped over the years where we're logically leading to the next step. And we're only then making that final transition to then, quote, offer the sale when they know
right.
they're already ready to buy.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So before we wrap this up, any other segments, any other modules you found to be helpful in terms of helping you to get out there and help a whole lot of people?
I really liked the stuff with, I think you kind of mentioned it before, but the social media marketing, and again, just those nuances of, and I know that you've added content to that, which I still have to go back through in terms of Facebook targeting and all of that stuff. But even just the mindsets around, as you always say, you're a media company first that just happens to offer products and services, and really emphasizing that content creation mindset, the fact that you need to be visible and credible before you can ever be profitable, which leads into some of the more beginning like business mindset stuff. And even that too, I have to highlight just the business foundations. I think it's like the very first or second module, when again, I didn't really know anything, so to speak, about how to run a bona fide business as a hypnotist. That was key. It kind of broke down a lot of the preconceptions that I had of, a hypnosis business needs to be XYZ, and really your emphasis on this is the mindset you need to have first. And then I'm going to show you the how, the principles, because I think without having both in tandem, it just doesn't work. There's sort of a disconnect. So your emphasis on having, the right approach and the right mental attitude around it has been really key. So yeah, I want to say that's like the first module in the program. So if you haven't looked at that, or you're
Which
new to
so
that,
much of that
definitely go
is,
check that one out.
yeah, so much of that is when we have the psychology, we understand what has to happen for someone
Right.
to go from stuck in the problem to here's my credit card number, let's work on this. There's
Mm-hmm.
a journey that has to happen in their mind, which is almost identical to how it has to happen for them to produce the change. So once we understand that, this is one of those themes that stands out for people, is where, we can reverse engineer that and make that work for live talks and networking. We can bring that into social media. But this is the stuff that's going to be working 10 years from now when it's some new platform we don't even know about yet.
Right.
So to have the
Absolutely.
foundations that are there. Well, Patrick, this
Mm-hmm.
has been great and really helpful. Any final thoughts for the folks out there looking to either start up or scale up their hypnosis businesses?
Yeah, honestly, just do it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, just do it. That's a lot of what has held me back in the past, and I'm slowly coming to the realization now that you need to just kind of be at that point where you are so sick and tired, maybe, of wanting to do something and not producing the change. And also, definitely something that's helped me hugely, if you can, seek out mentors, whether that's you in a virtual format, some of my other mentors in the industry. And even if you can't work with them directly, consume their free content, read their books. I think that all serves to kind of, you pick up bits and pieces, and then you can kind of apply what works for you. So even if, people think of, if I want to work with Tony Robbins, that's $10,000. Well, Tony Robbins has very affordable books. You can still, that's just an example, but you can still read and glean a lot of the knowledge from him. And so I've been so blessed and so fortunate to not only work with you, other mentors in the field. And I think that that's kind of helped my learning curve in this, all the better. And I often have to take a step back and remind myself that I'm only 23 going on 24. So no matter what age you are, whether you're around my age or someone that's older, just getting into the field, just go for it. Because I think that, if you're pulled towards something, you're meant to do it. And that's definitely how I feel around this. So just go for it. Be smart about it. Don't, work smart, not hard, and relish in that success, because you can do it.